Yeah, he has joined, sir.
Okay, good morning,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. My apologies. I had a commitment somewhere. My apologies
No worries, sir.
for that.
Just let me know if I am pronouncing your name correctly. It's Ryan.
Yeah, that's okay. But it's Ryan, but that's okay. I'm fine with that.
Ryan,
Yeah.
right. I'm so sorry for that. So that is why I confirm. So I'll start with introducing Mr. Ryan, and then it's over to him. So Mr. Ryan Tawanda, I'm sorry if I mispronounce the name, but it's Mr. Ryan, is a Zimbabwean and currently he's the director of SreeNidhi Sports Academy, which is in Hyderabad. Ryan has worked in Zimbabwe, China, Solomon Islands, and is now in India, where he served in different capacities, from coach to teacher to principal and sports director for the past 14 years. Since his arrival in Hyderabad, Ryan has initiated the School Basketball League in association with Telangana Basketball Association's IB Cricket League, and what was to start this September? School Tennis League in association with Telangana Tennis Association, School Squash League in association with the Telangana Squash. Okay. Ryan is passionate about the development of sports from grassroots levels and loves to see every young athlete being guided to reach their greatest potential. So today we'll be learning a lot about how an athlete can reach the greatest potential, how you can become an online coach. A lot of us here, a lot of people here want to be sports coach. So how they can be a sports coach, and Mr. Ryan will be guiding us through. So over to you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Practice. Well, I really do appreciate. Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna probably
Good morning,
start
Ryan.
sharing my. I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Let's see here. Okay, are we able to see my screen?
Yes, Ryan.
Okay, great. Just a second here. Okay, so what we're going to be focusing on really today, it's how administering the remote coaching, because the situation that we are right now, it's a different situation. It's a different animal, I would say, that is just invaded the entire world. So the focus for me really is to just give each other insight on how we can try and handle it, depending on where we are and how we are doing it. So the first thing I think we should be doing here is, I think, fitting within your model. What do we mean by fitting within your model in terms of remote coaching? You need to understand where digital or remote coaching fits within what you are currently having, or what you currently have. Before the COVID, what was happening now when you're shifting to the digital model is now, does it fit in your program that you are doing? That is basically making the transition from the face to face that we're having to remote models. So in this particular thing, I'll just pose a question to you guys, probably as not a question as such, but I would say, as the administrators, we need to set the tone and direction for how this thing will go for our coaches. But at the same time, we need to leave the autonomy and the malleability of the program to the coaches, to ensure that what they're doing is fitting in the model that you ambisect to run as an academy. Now, the questions that you may ask yourself probably are, do I introduce this to all my clients? Because it's a different thing that you haven't done before. It's new. So that's the question you start asking. Do I introduce this to all my clients? Do I charge extra for additional accountability because it's something that's going to incur cost of internet and all that stuff, but at the same time there's less manpower that's being used? So those are some of the questions that you have to think before you actually implement the online coaching model. So The foundation for basic coaching programs is already available with you. You've been doing it before the COVID. Now, what you only need to do is to shift your programs towards one, improving the efficiency. Meaning, how do you manage clients at scale, improving your effectiveness, meaning how can you ensure your clients are successful within what you're now offering, within what you're now within the direction that you have taken of virtual coaching. You also need to increase perceived value of your offering. What do we mean by that? How can you maximize your revenue potential for your offering at that time? Because at the same time, if you look at it, it's a different model. So, and then people have stopped doing everything. People have stopped paying to everything else, but you still need to run. You still need to manage your coaches. You still need to pay your bills. So how do you do that? So those are the questions that you need to actually put in mind before you do all that to run your program. Um, Now, the next thing for me is weave together key components. You need to put together the key components to create a concise, true virtual coaching solution. Um, what I can ask you right now is what are your key components within your organization, within your program? What are these components that you say these are my components? You need to ask your question that you need to answer that question before you move someone else as well, because these are the ones that shapes your program and that shapes the direction in which you're running in this during this COVID time as well. So when you now have your key components in place, now it's up to you now, which is an easy road to integrate elements of your regular program offering into one concept solution. You're now saying, okay, if I'm doing basketball, if I'm doing tennis, now I'm putting in one model that I have to offer to people. However, within that integration element, is there's some challenges that we face as academies, as coaches, as sports organizations, when adopting coaching and engagement model. The problem on engaging and adopting online coaching engagement model is the inability for us to integrate elements of our regular program offering into one solution. That's also the problem we're facing because we're not ready for it, we're not prepared for it. So that's most of the problems that people are facing. So you as an organization, you need to think on how you can actually skip over that, how you can move that. Once you answer those questions, you're able to actually bring up a great virtual model that you can bring upward. Now you need to make sure that the communication and engagement are basically a natural extension of what you were doing. You were already talking to your clients before the COVID, you were doing that, but now the model of interaction and communication has changed from face to face. So you just need to ensure that that continues, the relationship continues within that as well. And now with this online coaching, now you need to implement technology properly to enhance your program, because that's now a tool that's vital. So you need to ensure that it's implemented in a proper way. While technology and tools can undoubtedly, I think, improve the efficiency of coaching, however, if they're not implemented properly, I think the end result is likely to be a jumbled mess. It's likely to be a catastrophic result that you were not expecting. So that's when you actually need to ensure that you have all these components that are in place so you can actually move forward into what you really need to do. Now, the other thing that's very important is technology and tying up our programs, because this is the 21st century, besides the disaster, but the technology now is tying every program that we have together, which means we need to consider technology as an element that ties our program offerings together. And I would say learning starts with us as sports administrators. It starts with us as coaches. It means we need to dig deeper, to lead the way, to lead our program, to head our programs in the right direction that we need to. If you're a sports administrator, it means you need to dig deeper and do research so that you can lead the way for your coaches and your other managerial line managers that are doing so they know how to operate that. Let me explain the model here that's on the left here, of each of these components. We've got the face-to-face interaction sessions. That's, like I said, it's just an extension of what you're doing. Before there was the face-to-face interaction. Now, this face-to-face is now moved through to web conference. That means like right now we're doing the Google Meet, we're together, we're sharing, which continues. Before I would meet with Mr. Ravi, and then we would have a meeting, have a chat, have coffee. But now it's different. We have to meet on on web, but the objective and the goal is still the same. Now you also, if we come over here, we have the data for benchmarking. This is what we were doing before the COVID, where we had collected assessments, the biometrics that we're doing with our athletes. That doesn't stop. It still continues within that, but what you now need to do is to use more of technology than when coaches were using books and papers and worksheets to do that. Now that needs to be transferred into the use of technology. Now, the educational content that we have here within the core elements of coaching solutions, the educational content is based on the program offering that you have. It's based on the programs that you are actually having, that you're extending to. Now, if I was a coach and you were coming on the basketball court, and then you present yourself, but now you're not there, what else can you do? Which means you have to create videos that are to be sent to athletes as educational content so that they continue doing that. You have to create documents that explains what you're doing, like PDFs and flyers, whatever you're going to come up with. And that's now encompasses in the technology part to ensure the virtual program goes on well for you. Now, I'm looking at the virtual touch points for accountability and engagement. This is so interesting for me because the visual touch points, it's the system that you're now having in virtual program. However, you were having this system before, your coaching system that you had for tennis that you have already in your academy. Now, how do you modify that coaching system into a virtual program to fit your visual program that you have? How do you make use of emails? How do you make use of text? How do you make use of that to ensure that your coaching systems are actually communicated well to the athletes? The other most vital thing that you need to ensure is that you need to onboard your clients on virtual coaching systems. In simple terms, it means you need to get your clients on board with you. They need to understand what you are doing, which means you need to know how to effectively onboard your clients onto virtual coaching system. And you need to spend time planning for effective process and strategy. You need to streamline your remote coaching and engagement. And also, you need to ensure that you frame the conversation to stay top of your communication, because it's no longer a one-on-one conversation that you used to have before, where probably parents or teachers, guardians, players would come to you on the basketball court, on the swimming pool. But now it's a different model as well, which means your conversation has to stay on top. The communication has to be right up on top. So I'm going to explain the success to that coaching solution model in terms of visual learning on this one. The face-to-face here is what I'm looking at, is There are always questions all the time from clients, from your friends, there are always questions. But now it is very important that we as administrators are there to emphasize the why part of it, right? The why part, we're using the system that we're using, we're using the virtual learning that we're using, we're using the model that we're using, because people don't understand that, because our clients don't understand that, they haven't done that. So we have to create the face-to-face in terms of conferencing. Virtual conferencing now has to be there to replacing the face-to-face that's there. I think you see how we later use this in our academy in terms of moving from face-to-face into virtual conferencing. I think there is an explanation as well forward within that. The other thing is you need to set the expectations, the why, the when, the how. These are the expectations. The why am I doing it? How, when am I supposed to do this? How am I scheduling this? And how am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? So those are the things that actually have to come through in your mind as you're doing it. So for expectations, usually what happens is we are sports people, so we normally overlook this part when we are working remotely like this with our clients, and it's usually very challenging in terms of work-life balance, because you're at home, your kids at home, you want to do the work, and your clients want you. So how do you usually balance that? So that's a very challenging thing that you also need to put in mind as you're planning that as well. So some of us, we make ourselves available probably 24/7, and others prefer maybe to work normal schedule like before COVID, and then they just go with that. Now, the most important thing about these expectations, the why, the when, the how, highlighting these and other expectations, what it does is it mitigates the happening of the risk issues or communication abuse within your system. So before that happens, you actually have troubleshoot some of these problems within that. Now, we look at why is it important, right? I call this a help me, help you scenario. Why is this important? Which means you need to partner your clients. It's a partnership. It's a partner and provider partnership that you're having. So that's why it's important. And in our academy, we call it help me, help you scenario, because it is very important that your clients understand why you're using the model, why using this model is very important for us as an academy and for them as clients. So that's how you can actually try and bring your clients on board. These systems can significantly, all this put together, and you actually strategize on them and streamline, these systems can significantly improve both your effectiveness and your efficiency as an organization in running the online programs. However, there is a condition to it. You have to approach it correctly. You have to approach it in the right way. You have to approach it with the right strategies. The next thing we do is knowing how to monetize an online coaching model, because that's the big thing for us. I mean, we've got coaches to pay, we've got bills to pay. How do you monetize that online coaching model? The first thing that comes here, I think a remote coaching element is an introduction of a new level of service to clients completely. That is probably, if you haven't started it, if you don't have your online fitness website or app, which means the rest of us, this is a completely new level of service. So which means we need to find ways to generate income within the model that we're using, modifying it in the current system. Generating of the income as well, it does increase the perceived value of your programs, because if you just offer free programs, some people might not take it serious. But at the same time, also monetizing it, it increases the value of your offering, because you know, you believe in what you're doing, and whatever the amount that you're going to charge, you know that your program is going to hit to the point where you want. I would put probably one example to say, let's say maybe there was an in-person interaction, maybe me and Mr. Ravi. Mr. Ravi, there was that one-to-one interaction person. Now I'm not able to meet him anymore, but what do I need to do to value that? I need to change my program, right? Which means for Ravi, based on his level, if he's in a high athlete one-on-one interaction, which means I need to create a model, a hybrid coaching model in phases to my remote offering programs, because I need to assess that. I need to know what capacity do my coaches have, what resources do we have. Then you have to phase that, to put that in phases, to ensure that you still generate income, also not moving away from the requirements of the athletes. Within that, the problem that we also have in remote model coaching is finding the clients, because right now the mentality is, why does a person have to do basketball without a court? How does, one person asked me, called my coach, Mr. Ryan, you're running a summer swimming program. How does my kid do swimming without a swimming pool? So that's another thing you're actually facing right there, because people are not understanding that you can actually do length drills with swimming. You can do catch-up drills with swimming. And these are actually, it happens as well in a proper swimming training program. It's not always that people are in the swimming pool. There are learned drills that people do, there are fitness activities that people do. Besides fitness, there are theory classes that people do, that they learn about, education about that sport. So it's a whole spectrum and a whole different mindset, how people view this as well. So I'll go to the next slide. This is very important for me. I mean, absolutely important in this time and before COVID. I think collaboration, be it the coaching model online, be it the before model that we run, collaboration is the most fundamental point that I actually use all the time in my life, in my entire life, and my entire career. I value the word collaboration, because what you now need to do is you need to create your own network. Create your own network of people. These within the network, you're gonna share ideas, you're gonna share resources, you're gonna share models of how to run that, professional development workshops like this one, right? It's all because of connections that we have. So we get together, we share ideas, then we get out of there richer and trying to move on our programs. You also doing these collaboration, it encourages us as administrators, as coaches, to actually research more. Because if, for example, I've got maybe Mr. Rami, he's got his own program he's running. He sits with me, he shares with me ideas. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to research more about it, but not just because I want to start something new, but because it fits in my model that I'm doing. I need to expand in what I'm doing, not that I need to create something new. And then you also learn about new technology apps that are there. You know, it's now the world of technology. So within that collaboration groups, you're going to learn about that as well. And then you've got social network groups as well. Within that, the WhatsApp groups, the Facebook, and all that stuff. So that's very, very fundamental to do that. And for example, this picture that's here, it was me and other 10 athletic directors. They were from we were from 7 different countries across the world. And the discussion here was basically on on the situation we are in right now. How are we handling it? How do we handle it after COVID? And also, how do we continue to encourage our athletes, and different ideas that were coming through? It was a round table where people had to share ideas. And when I got out of there, I think I also got new ideas from that. So that's how we actually grow as organization. That's how we can actually grow this online coaching model, because you get to research, you get to collaborate. And now within this time that we are in as well, I would say within the coaches that you have, you need to create an internal collaboration platform. A WhatsApp group is not, I don't take it as a collaboration platform in my academy, because if my phone gets broken today, I lose all the resources, all the communications, some of the stuff that were on the WhatsApp group. If a person moves forward, moving from the academy to the another academy, it means the data that that person was sending on WhatsApp, that person has gone with it. So what do I need to do for me to ensure that within this time, my coaches, they collaborate, they talk to each other? So we came up with this. I hope you're able to see my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
The work, right. So on this one, what we've done is this is a Facebook workplace. So if you look on the left here, I've got SNSA stuff. This is for everyone. So what do? We post either workshops that are coming, important stuff like Athletic Federation of India. What is it that's coming? We post new things that are there. That's what we do. These are all within our coaches that do work through that. And then within that, it's actually divided into groups. We've got the PHE mentors. These are the physical and health education teachers, which means it's specifically related to them, like the webinars that were happening recently, the resources that are there. So people do share. We've got tennis as well, swimming and everything. So that's very important. I mean, for me, and as you can see, they can call each other. They can video call, they can text to each other, they can ask questions, they can collaborate within this time of COVID, and even before that and after that. So we have created a system that even if I go myself, the next athletic director will also come in and see how we were collaborating as an academy, how we're collaborating as one group. So I'm gonna have to get back here. Let's see. Okay, you still see my screen, right? I lost one here. Can I stop a bit, because I think I lost one here. Okay, let me stop it. Really? Just give me a sec. Okay, it's up now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move over to slide collaboration slide. Okay. So that's what we do, and so it means coaches are able to keep in touch throughout, but professionally. So they have to keep their WhatsApp and Facebook personal, because those are personal properties. So we created a platform for them to ensure that they can still chat professionally. So I think for now we can look for questions. People do have questions. Do you want to contribute on this one before we move forward? Okay.
Mr. Ram, can I ask one question?
Sure.
You said we are like right now all the coaches are online and people are finding it difficult in two ways. The first is how to choose a coach, which one is good for them, and then about the payment. People are not ready to pay. So in these times, how do a coach actually differentiate themselves from the other coaches? Because all the coaches are now coming online. The competition is huge, and the scalability of already established coaches, the ones who are already been there, is they already have a lot of fan base. So for a new coach, how do they establish themselves in these kind of environments?
I think the problem here in the COVID time is creating trust, and it will be very difficult, honestly, for the new coaches to actually break into the market. I'll give a synopsis of let's say a synopsis of a school. Okay, before COVID, there were maybe 50, there were maybe 20 schools, right? Within the 20 schools, there were maybe, no, there were 50 schools, and within 50 schools, there were 20 teachers, right? So all the 50 schools were fighting for the 20 teachers. Now, during the crisis that's happened and crisis after, it means now the people have lost jobs, salaries have been cut. What now means is the schools that were looking for teachers before, they're not looking, that the tables have turned. It means they're now 50 people looking for jobs in 20 schools. So
Right.
now what happens is, yes, what happens now is it's now your connections and your clientele and trying to advertise the programs that you're doing, because you can't approach someone on the phone right now and say, hi, I need to come and run a program in your school for now. They tell you, can you show us your track record? So that
Yes.
becomes also another challenge for the coaches to do that. But what I can advise the new coaches is to ensure that with all what we're talking about, with all these elements of how to design, how to put together the online model, is they need to think, what is it that they need to do? And then they create information based on the components and concepts that they want to work on. And then within that, they now use different platforms to actually advertise the programs that they're doing. Now, when it comes to payment, you're saying they're having difficulties in payment. What you do now is you ensure that when you register, on your registration on the form, the person has to pay the money. So you don't pay the money, you don't register. And I'm not there to actually negotiate with you. You negotiate with the form that I've sent to you.
Okay, so it will be directly with the form, and you can't negotiate. But it becomes difficult when it comes to the new coaches. If they don't negotiate, they usually lose the client.
At the same time, what will happen for me is what you need to do is it's about you also generating revenue. So what you need to do is, when for example, I want to join your program, okay? You've told me
Mhm.
about my program. Number one, you can give me demonstration classes. I can attend your demo classes, okay? I can attend one or two demo classes and that's it. The next thing is you need to enroll. Or I ask you to attend one demo class. The next thing is you need to enroll, you need to fill up the form. How to fill up the form is, when you're filling up the form, you make the payment first, and then your form will actually allow you to continue and submit the form. That's how you can actually collect your revenue through that.
Okay. Thank you so much for that answer. Like maybe it will help a lot of new coaches who want to become a coach. So there is some question coming up. The first is, how do you administrate the sports academy?
I'm coming to that. It will come. I'll come. I've got that as well. I think I'll answer that. I think we've got that in how to administer sports academies. I'll come to that as well.
Okay. And
Yeah.
there is one more question. When there is an issue that needs immediate action, what are the steps that you take to counter that issue?
The steps that we take as well, I think it will also be answered in the next probably couple of slides that are coming. But what we usually do is we have actually designed a system. I think it's been a year for us doing that. It's been like painful 1 year. So our system that we have developed is one currently in the COVID situation. Mostly it's about the technology issues. The coaches at home, they can't do anything about it. So they have to send a message, an instant message to us. And then we also have an IT director who works with us as well. And she's got her team as well of about maybe 4 people. So the coach actually can get help within those ones as well. But at the same time, I can get an instant message from the coach about that issue as well, and then being able to follow through with what he's doing.
Okay. Thank you so much for the answer. I think we can continue because
Can continue. Okay. Okay. The next, I think you can see the next slide, right? What does online coaching do?
yes, we are
Yes,
able to
yes,
see
yes.
that.
Right. So now you have actually done your roadmap. You have created your strategies. You all have these ones in place. But now you also need to understand yourself. What is the importance of online coaching as compared to face-to-face coaching? Number one, it strengthens the relationship between the coach and the athlete. I mean, I don't think any other way that that I can imagine within this COVID time that the relationship with my coaches and my athletes has actually been strengthened. Because if it's face to face, it means I've got maybe 50, 20 basketball kids that are coming for 1 hour, or 30 basketball kids that are coming the next. All I concentrate is to coach and get them to get what they're doing, and then I'm gone. But now in this time where we are on virtual, I have to look at every child. So the relationship within that is actually cemented. So that to cement that relationship is very, very vital between the coach and the athlete. The other thing is it also enables flexibility in training schedule for the athletes. I mean, when it's the normal stuff that we have, I think we just say, okay, training is at 3 o'clock to 4:30. I've got another one from 5 o'clock to 6:30 and all that stuff. But now it's all flexible. It's when is the coach available? When are the athletes available? When are the clients available? So that now brings flexibility in timetabling. And the other thing is the virtual coaching can give you that supporting backbone in person that the in-person coaching cannot do. I mean that virtual interaction, that constant interaction, the face-to-face cannot happen because you're busy. You have to do all that stuff. But right now we've got everything that we have right now. It also enables the coaches, us as administrators, to look outside the box. I mean, we've got a box we have right now, which is the COVID box that is closed up to now. Now, it helps us to look outside that COVID box, which means we have to be creative. It has to help us to research. We have to be innovative to expand our knowledge with professional developments. One good example is what we're doing right now, right? Is we never thought about it. We never really, I think for me, I was doing it really, but in terms of the global scale, people were not really thinking about this. But now, if you look at that, that's another way of innovation that has come through. And that same thing you can do with your athlete as well. So the question I would like to give you guys, you don't have really to give me an answer, is there anything better than an athlete being able to reach out to you as a coach whenever possible? Is there anything better right now? Your athlete can reach you anytime. What does it do? It creates the bond. It creates the connectedness that was not happening when it was face-to-face coaching. So those are the advantages of actually online coaching that's bringing through. Now, how to further improve this remote coaching? How do we improve it? What is it that we need to do to improve this remote coaching? For me, active motivation. As a virtual coach, there is a high demand for us to be active at all times. We need to create a motivational connection with the athletes. Like we were talking before about that connectedness. So that motivational creation has to continue with the bottom line really, which is establishing the connection between you and your athlete. This is despite what the training plan that you have for the athletes. This is despite the specific tailored or general programs that you have for the athletes. But the fact is that connection is to be created. Now, the other thing is you also need to highlight the athletes' accomplishments. These things really need to be highlighted so that they keep motivated, because we're talking about motivation, so that they keep motivated. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and play this and see how we guys have done the motivation part in our academy. These are the kids that we're doing the virtual basketball coaching, all of them. When lockdown started, the programs never stopped. Then we said, okay, what is it that we can motivate? How is it that we can motivate them? So yeah, that's how we celebrated and the continued support that we giving to our athletes, because what they did is we took the concept, what they were doing, practicing that, then we took one concept in which they were practicing, and the concept was ball handling skills. Then we said, okay, what is it that we can do with the ball handling skills to ensure that we keep motivating our kids being able to do that? Now, what matters at the end is that the success of your virtual coaching program boils down to us as individual coaches, not as sports administrators. If there are coaches here, is what matters as well is the coaches, they do run me as an athletic director, I don't run my program. but the person who runs my program is my coach. So I need to instill in my coach the most important thing that they need to remember, the mindset that they have to, one, prioritize support for the athletes. And for me as a director, I need to prioritize support for both my athletes and my coach. The coaches have to create effective communication, and also myself, I need to create that effective communication between my coaches as well. And we also also need to follow through the athletes training program, which is also what I need to do to follow through what the coaches are doing within this time as well. So that's the kind of motivation that we can actually do in terms of this for us. So with this, then you actually put it on your social media platforms. Everybody's seeing it. Kids are happy. They're showing each other. At the end, your program is actually growing within that. Now, we need to set, we need to organize the, what I call organized reminders. These organized reminders for me is that time when, as a coach, you need to do the natural things that you were doing before. So what I did on this one, there was a question that was asked, how do I administer this? There was a question as well that was asked. There were two questions that were asked, and I said, you see how we're doing it. So this clip actually is going to actually demonstrate on how we are administering this on our side as an organization. Hang on, I think we're missing one slide before this. Just wait a bit. Okay, so we're gonna play this one. Here, I'm gonna walk you through what we actually doing for on our part in this COVID time for administration, how it does help us with athletes as well. So over on this one, we've got things like where a calendar where a coach has to put in reminders, most important sessions that they're going to be coming through, so that actually stays the calendar as usual. So it's normal that was happening, and it continues now as well during this time. The coaching plans and drills, when the coaching plans were being sent, when there was when it was still like real time, face to face. Now the coach has to send them now through. It's the same concept, but now they have to send the ones that are being done during this time of COVID. That's very difficult. Now the video sessions is when a coach can actually call a kid or an athlete to actually have a one-on-one chat with them. We've got that on our platform as well to ensure that we do follow through that, and we talk to parents as well to ensure we keep all our athletes. We keep track of our athletes. It can, even if it's a session that we're hosting in terms of, let me say, we're having a class on nutrition, a class on sports psychology or sports science, whatever we're doing, that can come through in the session as well. And also, an athlete can also get to the coach directly within this video session as well. Can request a video session with the coach, and then have to work through that. This part, my video sessions, is when a coach actually either sends in the record the video sessions that have been happening. From these video sessions now, the coach can actually get back to them, assess the students as they're going through, and also shares with the athletes as well, where the athletes can now download or look through them in this app, download for video analysis, or just analyze them through here. That's what also my video sessions are. Assessment goes through the same as well. It's not really changing much. It's the same things that we're doing where the assessment was happening in the academy in terms of performance for the athletes. So this comes through the same as well based on what they're doing. That also comes through as well. The workout plans, the coach can actually design workout plans for individual athletes in here and then just post it to them, and then they keep doing that. So that's basically what we have been doing in terms of handling these COVID issues that we're dealing with, which is it's not really a big draw off from what we're doing, but we just continued in that and just modified within the model that we. Okay, so yeah, it means like even it continued within the model that we're currently doing. And there was another question that was actually posed, is in how do you deal with the issues as they come. I think if we look on this part as well, there is a part where it says I think messages. Let me try and play it again so I can stop it where I can see. Let's see. Right, I'm gonna pause it here.
Coach has
Okay, I'm pausing it here. So now we've got this one where it says messages, right? For the messages part, this is where now coaches do communicate with the athletes. They don't have to use their WhatsApp because it's personal. They don't have to use their messenger because it's personal. So the communication does happen here. Now with that as well, let's say if parents have an issue with the coaching that has been going on and they're not happy about it, what they simply do is they just go there and go to staff rating within the program that was happening. They rate the coach and then they write a comment on it. They write an issue, what the issue is. So I quickly get that, which means now I can sit with my coach, I can discuss with my coach, find out exactly what has happened and how am I supposed to deal with that. Now, if you go down as well, there's that request that's there. The request is when a coach is having a problem, maybe they're having technical issues, resource issues, something like that. They simply send a request as well on that system. So I quickly pick it up, my administrator picks it up, and then we follow through that. So it's a whole system that we've created that's actually helps us to manage these things as we're going through. For us, we had created the system not for the disaster of COVID. We have created a system that actually goes beyond the disaster, that can handle anything that comes through. So during this time, we're not really moving much from what we're doing. We're just modifying and filtering in and continuing with our model that we're having. So this now, I think that explains that video. You have to create reminders, alerts for athletes. For example, when they have birthdays, training, workout camps, this ensures you stay engaged with in these critical times with your athletes. I think we saw that in the previous video. You also need to make a profile for individual athletes that includes all the components that you were doing before the COVID, but that are suiting within the environment and the current situation that we are in, the heart rate zones, the goals threshold, and also create general progression and training, which is what comes into our coaching videos and drills that comes through. The progression comes into the assessment part that we still do. So that's what we actually follow through. The other thing I want to talk about is you need to have a real life coaching experience. Create that. That's the most fundamental thing. One of the high sides of visual coaching is the ability to apply in-person coaching experience and online to athletes. What can be done here for the real life experience is you need to continue creating a scenario for one-on-one experience, like you had that. So you saw that in our previous video that we're creating that where athletes straight after the session, they can call the athlete, they can video chat with the athlete, do feedback, video analysis right on the platform. So it's not really different from what we're doing before, but it's that continuation thing. So how do we create that real life coaching situation? I'm gonna play this one, just a tiny clip we got as well.
Stay low, all the way on low. Okay, 1, 2, shift. 1, 2, shift. 1, 2, shift. Ready? Come on, let's go. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on, 9, 10, 11, 12. Come on, people.
Right. I think in that video, I think what I look at, it's a very tiny one I edited to that small one, is the intensity that the coach is trying to bring, which actually happens in real life situation that we need to have in face to face. If you look at it, every kid had a ball, which is what's required in real life situation. If you look at it as well, the coach's voice was audible, loud enough for everybody to hear, which is what you also require in real life coaching. And within that as well, the coach was the most important thing. The coach was demonstrating, showing what the athletes are supposed to do, which is what also happens in real life situations. So that's how you actually try and create close to the one-on-one situations that you have. So for me, I would say the goal that we have does not change at all, but the means to reach that goal is the one that we modify. Same applies to what I would say when we are actually, yes, we need to make money out of this, but the first thing is, my advice would be, get your coaching project to be a running model, then you can make money later. That's the most important thing, because it's about trust, it's about how you run this. So that's basically what we do. And also you need to coach, like for administrators, coach the coaches. I mean, what we mean by coach the coaches, I don't mean to say tell the basketball player how to do their coaching. No, but you are trying to coach the basketball player in the semantics of him being open-minded, and how can he be creative, how can he go over the challenges that he's facing. You give him suggestions, you don't give him suggestions, you help him to see the world in a different way. So that's what I call coach the coaches. We do that here, I think online with the coaches. We continue with that as well, help them. So at the end, the coaches actually come out with better drills, better things and concepts than me trying to suggest it. I think I'm gonna just rush through this and then we'll be done. And then for me, that's the last thing. I think probably second from last thing. Constant feedback. Constant feedback is very important. Be it with the administrators, with the clients. It's very, very important. So I created this triangle of constant feedback myself. How does it work? Like the athlete on that side, the coach, the administrator. So if you see the arrows, they go on all directions, which means an athlete can actually give feedback to me about my program. The athlete can give feedback to the coach about his coaching abilities or about the drills they're having. The director can give the feedback to the coach about what's going on, can give. So it's a whole web that goes on. It's a triangle of three that has to continue. Which means for that constant feedback, what do you need to do as an administrator? What do you need to do as a coach? Is make the requirements to give feedback and acknowledge your athletes' training. You need to acknowledge that, make those requirements. And when that feedback, be frank, provide various types of feedback. In this time, you can provide advice, discussion areas of strength and weaknesses, positive reinforcements. These now come in as well. And the one thing is, this will help the growth of your athlete. But I would say never shy away from giving a negative feedback, but give it in a way that the athlete understands that, not in a more like incriminating way to say, yeah, you're doing a very, very wrong thing. Not that way, but in a way that actually builds the athlete and recognize what they need to actually fix. The other thing is upload training simultaneously with a short overview of how the workout went. Like what we're doing you saw the presentation that I have, that my coaches can actually put in videos. They can actually review that as well. This also makes the athlete accountable for every workout that they're doing. And you ensure you mention the areas of weaknesses, areas of improvement, areas of strength, so they actually continue to work by themselves. The last thing is to have the athletes give feedback. Is provide an open dialogue about the reflection on the workout, give tips on improvement. So basically what happens, the problem with coaches is we always give a say to the athlete, but we don't hear the other side of the athlete. So this is the very difficult situation we are in the COVID. So what we need to do is we also need to hear that side of the athlete, how the program is going, how they feel about the virtual coaching, how they feel about the coaching systems. We're talking about coaching system. How do they feel about the coaching systems that we're doing? How can they improve in this time? So it's a whole lot of web that we actually look into to try and really understand and try to really implement our programs, I think, in a better way. Thank you very much. I do appreciate. I think now we can open up to questions and discussions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ran. It was really a very nice conversation. We came to know so much about how actually we can work around this COVID situation because a lot of us are stuck. A lot of the coaches, a lot of the capacities are still stuck. But it was amazing to see that you have such a beautiful process in place and the softwares which can help everybody stay connected. So I would request anyone who has a question to post it here. Until then, I can ask you a question. So how do you think the am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
How do you think the relationship between the coach and the coachee will change post this COVID situation? Because as we understood, it has already changed a lot, and now the coach has to be much more available at much more flexible timings than compared to the pre-COVID situation. Now, once COVID, this situation is over and we are back to our normal life. How do you see the change in this relationship?
What as well, I get back to the model. I would say the model I'm going through is what are your components that guide your program within that? What are the models that you're using within your program? What is it that you are using to guide your coaches into that? Now it's up to us as coaches to really, administrators, to coach the coaches to be able to create these relationships when things normalize.
Yeah, Ryan, I have a question. Of course, this question is somewhat related to Pratishta's question. It is about post-COVID. Post-COVID, the coaches will be back to the ground. They will be back to the courts, and athletes they will be also back to the field. But the point is that the parents, they have this lurking fear in their minds that this kind of outdoor sports, it is basically more of interaction. So the fear is still there with the parents. So how to address that fear factor? That post-COVID, the intensity might take some time to build up. So how to face that challenge and how to mitigate that challenge?
You're not audible. Then your mic is mute.
Yeah, I think I was in a webinar, I think 2 days ago, that was hosted by one of the universities here in India. I think it had I don't know, 4,000 people. The presenter who was there was saying, now the systems we need to create are the systems that need to fit into the new ecosystem. If you look at parents now, there's not going to be, when things normalize, parents are going to have option of maybe sending kids to school 2 days a week or 3 days a week. It's up to what the parents wants to do, because the COVID is not going to go away until the vaccine is found. So which means the parents as well, they've got that right to actually keep their kids back home. What are the strategies that we can bring in? That means we give them that option of the online coaching that we're doing, provided that you have actually done it in a proper way. Then you can continue with that model. A parent can opt for that model. And the other thing you can do now is to have a one-on-one sessions that you need to do. You're now reducing the number of people that are coming into your programs. If your tennis program was having 10 kids per session, that number has to come down because you still need that spacing that's coming through. So those are the things that we now need to actually think as administrators, as coaches, and saying, how do we now move towards that? That's my, and the last conference I was in last week, we were also discussing about this to say, okay, what will the future be like for sports? And we're saying for sports, I mean, things gonna get back to normal for competitive sports, especially for team sports, because my reason for me to do sport serious, maybe I want to be a top athlete, maybe I want to be able to do social games within that, but I would need to play with someone. So somewhere, somehow along the way, sports is gonna get back. But for now, it's the models. For example, the visual coaching we need to do or one-on-one coaching. Limit the number of kids that are coming to your training. If it's team sport, you're gonna have to space them. Don't use the same equipment. So it's the whole thing that you actually have to bring along.
Thanks, Ray.
No worries.
Okay. Is there anyone with any question they can ask?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the questions. Not enough questions, right?
Okay, Mr. Ram, can you explain how can one set up these kind of administrative administration that you have taken, set up a complete system? How do you support in setting up the systems? Or if there is a new coach, how can they set the system for themselves?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
How to set up these systems? Like you have set up the entire system where if there is an institute or a coach who wants to set the system, how can they do it for themselves or they can take your support?
The I think what's there now, the thing is technology. There are other apps that people can use really. They can use those apps to try and manage their own sports if they're individual coaches. But if they're sports academies like us, you have to create an entire system because you'll be dealing probably with 600 to 700 athletes that you're dealing with. So you need to create the entire system. If they're coaches now, they also need to find out what are their friends doing, what are the other people doing. Like I said before, you need to create a network. When you create a network now, you say, okay, what is Ryan really doing as an individual coach? What is Ravi doing as an academy? So that way you now make a decision to say, with what I've seen on Ryan, with what I've seen on Ravi, with this app that I've seen for basketball or for tennis, now I need to use this one for my administration. So that actually comes into you as a person after that research and then decide on what you can do. But my advice is do a thorough research on the networks that people are doing. Use the whole bunch of applications that are now online with technology that you can use through that as well.
Okay. So they can set up their own systems by using the applications, or if they have a big institute, then they can approach you for help.
Sorry,
If
can
they
you
have,
repeat that?
so what I understood is if they are individual coach, then they can set up the system using online applications, or they can approach you for if they have a big institute, then they can approach you to help them set up.
For me, setting up the systems really is, I would say, for me, I work for an organization, right? So within the organization, we made a decision to, like when I came, I made a decision to say, I need a management system for me to run what I'm running. So but it takes a lot of money to do it. That's another thing for like, for example, to be what it is for us now for that application, it cost us about 5 lakh. All in all, because it was a system, you have to invest into it. So you're not going to invest into a system within this short COVID period of time and then have it running properly. So that's why I just say you just find models that are stop gaps, but with your longer goal, what is it where you want to go? If you really want to go further after that, then you really have to invest into it to actually being able to do that.
Absolutely. And you were mentioning about mindset coaching, like you help your athletes as well as your coach stay motivated. So, are there you have specific coaching for coaches who are helping in mindset coaching, or how do you provide these mindset coaching to the coaches? Like, do you have any specific trainings for motivating them? How do you keep them motivated in these times, which is really difficult, I believe, during these times?
The other thing I do is one is I do coach them. Really, the coaching is not counseling. What I do is everybody has got a problem. So now I don't tell them or trying to help them to fix the problem. I try to help them to think how they can fix the problem. And I try to help them in what other ways can they actually keep up what's going on. Like, for example, my coaches right now, I did not take money as an academy. I said, okay, my coaches, you're going to coach, charge 50 rupees per session. For example, basketball, there are about 50 kids. So I said, I don't need that money as an academy. You take that money during this time. So that way, it's another way of me motivating my coaches, even though I am making a loss. But the whole point is I need to keep my stuff. There is life after COVID. So that's what I need to look at, the bigger picture. How do I keep my coaches motivated within that? And I have said as well within this where we pay their internet, right? If they're doing online coaching and stuff, they have to submit the bills, and then we have to pay their internet as well. So that way they don't have to use their own bandwidth.
That's a great insight because during these times when people are cutting the salaries, you are actually keeping them motivated by hearing the loss. So that gives us a great perspective that as an institute, we need to have that thing that we need to have a bigger picture that we need to see. Thank you so much, Ryan. And I'm not getting any questions from anyone. So
Okay.
I think if there is any question, please let us know because we have Ryan with us right now and we can ask some questions. We're getting really good insight. Uh, Thank you so much, Ryan. I think that's all for today. And sincere gratitude to you for joining us and sharing us these insights. It was really an amazing session to be with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys inviting me. I hope everybody please do stay safe with your families.
Yes,
Thank
and
you. Thank
please,
you, Rehan. Thank you, Rehan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was really insightful. The
Thank
session was
you.
really insightful today.
thank you. Have
Okay.
a great
Thank
day.
you. See you.